Okay, so let's talk about your concluding sentence. So, sorry, your concluding paragraph. So, your concluding paragraph really only needs to have 3 to 4 sentences. It can be a little bit shorter than your typical body paragraph would be. So, really, you just need to include 3 elements. The first one is to restate your thesis in different words. So, you can't just copy and paste it. That's repetitive, that's boring. Your reader isn't going to want to see that. Um, if you're struggling with a way to restate your thesis, this is a really easy structure that you can kind of use and just plug in your topic. When one considers topic one, topic two, and topic three, it's clear that da 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 da. Okay, so this would be whatever your body paragraph one was about. In this case, Shakespeare's life. Your body paragraph two, your body paragraph three. So two would be life in Elizabethan England. Sorry, my mind went blank. And three would be why we still read Shakespeare today. Then you need to answer the so what in 1 to 2 sentences. So basically, why does any of this matter? Like, why should people care? You don't necessarily have to talk about the specifics of the topic, but the bigger reason why the reader should care about what you're talking about. And that can be 1 to 2 sentences. It doesn't need to be more than that. If you find yourself going past that, then you maybe want to reel it in and consider if what you're saying is really essential or not. And then finally, the kicker or the lingering thought, it's the last sentence that should leave the reader nodding in agreement and thinking about your topic. You could use a famous quote if you did not use a quote for your hook. So if you use a quote in your introduction, you cannot use a quote in your conclusion. It has to be one or the other, not both. Again, it's just kind of lazy to the reader. So for my sample concluding paragraph, I used a quote from Edgar Allan Poe for my introduction. So I cannot use that for my conclusion. So here's a sample concluding paragraph if I were writing a paper about Edgar Allan Poe's life and influence. And I use this structure that I noted up here. When one considers his troubled life, unique writing style, and enduring influence on American literature, it is clear that Edgar Allan Poe is the true master of American horror. And then my so what? Without the work of Poe, American culture as we know it today would look vastly different. Today's society is engrossed with crime dramas, horror movies, and true crime stories, much of which can be traced back to Poe's influence. So this is why should I care? Right? Why should the reader care about Edgar Allan Poe, right? He lived in the 1800s. Who cares anymore? But he's had this huge influence on our culture, right? We love the detective shows, right? Law and Order, NCIS, Criminal Minds, all of those shows. We love them. And that, Edgar Allan Poe wrote the first detective story ever, right? So without his influence, our culture would be completely different. So that's why we should care. That's my so what. And then I have my kicker. Poe transformed his personal losses into horror stories that would stand the test of time well beyond his own short, tragic life. So that is just sort of my last piece that I'm leaving the reader with, just sort of reminding them of how tragic his life was and how he sort of then used that for his art. Okay, so that is what you need to do for your concluding paragraph. 3 to 4 sentences, nice and easy. Let me know if you have questions.